Welcome, listeners, to another episode of the WholeHearted Leadership podcast. And today, can you hear the excitement in my voice? Today, I'm excited to welcome to the show Rena Tan. When we connected on LinkedIn quite recently, and we eventually caught up for coffee, we light up the entire cafe with our laughters. Such is our connection and such is the rapport that we have. So, Rena, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Coen, for having me.
So maybe let me just do a bit of an introduction to Rena, right? Rena is the founder of Inspirena, a marketing and branding consulting firm. She helps small businesses and entrepreneurs build standout brands that turn their dreams into winning narratives. She's got over 25 years of branding, marketing, and communication experiences with major corporations. You may have heard of them before, such as MTV Asia, Singapore Tourism Board, and HR services powerhouses such as Robert Walters and Randstad. So, Rena, welcome to the show once again. Let's start with a question, right? I know you as a very wholehearted person. So, what does being a wholehearted leader mean to you?
Well, a wholehearted leader means to me, I actually operate with my own values when I lead my team. So my values are kindness, empathy, and courage. And I think a wholehearted leader needs to exhibit and demonstrate those three values. And then two other values that I really live by is transparency and authenticity. So as a leader, you need to be real. You need to walk the talk. You need to be transparent so that people know what you're thinking about, what plans you have for them, where you are leading them to. And the three values that I live by, which is courage. You need to have the courage to face conflicts. You need the courage to stand up for your team, protect their bandwidth, and stand up for what is right and not what is convenient, right? So your team looks at you to provide that kind of courageous leadership. And then, of course, kindness and empathy, really to put yourself in their shoes, because everyone, they do have their difficulties and challenges. So, although we think that we hire someone to come and do a 9-to-5 job, right? But sometimes they do have challenges and difficulties performing their role, and we need to have that kind of empathy in order to ensure that we can provide the support that they need. So I think for me, throughout my years of leading teams and developing people, that has always been my value system in terms of being a leader. Yeah.
Wow, that's the first question, and you have already given us a masterclass on leadership, right? It's like very, very well said, right? It's like great values that you have there. And I think, wholehearted leadership is about leadership with values. Very, very well said over there. So now that we know these are the values that we want to be leading with, right? It's like, but why do you think that leaders struggle, or what are the obstacles you think or you see they commonly face with regards to leading wholeheartedly?
I think leaders always think that they need to manage everything, right? So sometimes they fall into the trap of being a micromanager. So they hire good people, but they don't have trust. So so for me, if I hire good people, I trust them to be able to do the job. And when you empower people with trust, they can do a much better job. But I think a lot of managers fall into that. I don't trust them, so I must watch over everything that they do. I need to see every report. And I don't lead teams that way. For me, it's I hire people and I groom them to a standard that is up to my expectations. And then I trust them to be able to live up to the expectations. So, when I was leading teams, every year I have a standard. We call it the marketing team manifesto. Yeah. Yeah. So I produced that manifesto so that everyone knows where my vision is for them, where we are heading to, and what my expectations are for them. And that includes things like we want to be seen as the center of excellence of marketing globally, regionally, and locally, so that they see themselves as a much bigger powerhouse than they are, right? Also, I have 6 expectations that I set for them. Things like shoot for the stars, always be learning, always be sharing best practices, so that they all follow the same values that I've set for them within this marketing manifesto. And everybody operates the same way with the same mindset and goals, yeah.
Wow, I'm already taking so much notes. It's like with the first 2 questions. I really like what you said. something when you said it, right, it just hit me so hard, right? I felt a little bit called out as well lah, when you talk about trust. But that's a different story for a different day. But I have a lot of trust issues at first. And so when I hire people to work with me and for me, I have a hard time trusting them as well. Sometimes because I think, you know, I'm the one with the ideas. I'm the one with the concept of how to get things done. So sometimes I tend to also being overly prescriptive. But that's a different topic for a different day. So I was just really wondering how can I just trust like that? But when you said something about standards, about sharing with them the standards you expect from them, and then guiding them to live up to those standards, I thought that was so inspiring. I think sometimes we think as leaders, we just want to make people comfortable and happy working. I think happiness and comfort is overrated. I think people want also to be challenged.
Yes.
People want to also reach up to a certain standard that they can feel proud of.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They don't just show up to work for a paycheck.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have standards for them and they can meet those standards or even exceed them, they will feel proud, right? Because then they know that they have already achieved what they initially thought that they couldn't. Maybe they thought that they would just come in and do a work. But then when you have those standards for them and they achieve them, I think you really see that transformation in them. Yeah.
Wow, you know what? I really feel like stopping this podcast episode really and just go back to work, and becoming a better leader for my own team. Really, really, I'm learning so much. But wow, that's so beautiful. And then the second piece here is the whole piece around the manifesto, right? I mean, the last time I think about manifesto, I think about, like MPs, right? Member of Parliament, when they're going for election, it's like, these are manifesto. But I really like what you just mentioned about manifesto. Like, so help me understand, is this manifesto like a slide deck, or is it like a document, like a 30-page document?
No, it's just a one-page slide deck
Oh.
with where we want to go, where our vision is, which is becoming the center of excellence, which is putting our customer at the center of everything that we do, which is to make the company that we work with number one in the sector.
Okay, and the second part here is the manifesto, right? I really like the idea where you mentioned the word manifesto, right? The first thing I think about is, the member of parliament MPs, right? When they're going for election, they need to present their manifesto. So help me understand, is this manifesto like a slide deck, or is it like a 40 page report?
No, it's just a one-pager. So I put in all the expectations that I have for the team. And then, what kind of values that I want them to have when they work together as a marketing team. So, for example, the first few pointers would be, we want to be the center of excellence for marketing, regionally, globally, and locally. Or we want to work together as a team to achieve brand dominance and the number one position for the company that we work for. And then we want to put our customer at the center of everything that we do and be the most forward-looking company in the market. So those were my expectations, right? Because we want them to always be looking forward, always be ahead of the trends, because they are marketers. And then in terms of personal values, things that I put in the manifesto, it's always be learning, sharing is caring, shoot for the stars, be the solution, lead the change that you want to see, and imagine the future. So again, developing future forward-looking marketers as well. Yeah.
Wow, I love it. There's so much clarity there. It's just one slide.
One slide. Everything is all in that one slide.
But I really like why you like that is like, it's not just like a set of standards that you expect from people, but there's a certain element of aspiration about it. It's very aspirational, right? It's like shoot for the stars, work together, always be learning, be the center of excellence. And when you mentioned the word center of excellence, right, the image that comes to me, right, is like you are the center and the excellence radiates from you.
Yep, definitely. So every time someone comes to us and say, I like what your team is doing, I like what you guys are doing, can you share it with us? I always use that as an example to tell them, see, you guys are the center of excellence. People are coming to you to learn from you. And I think that really motivates them to want to be better and to want to continue to maintain that center of excellence mindset.
And of course, in order to create that mindset, right, you also have to be that center of excellence. You also have to emanate excellence from your being. Definitely.
So, like I said, leadership is all about authenticity, right? So definitely I have to walk the talk and set those standards for myself. Yeah.
That's so awesome. That's very, very, very refreshing to hear, because often, companies hire these consultants to come in. I mean, nothing wrong with consultants, but it's like, spend good money to come up with this, like generate these 30, 40 pages around like our values, how we are like. But this never actually get translated into actual practices.
Yeah, because it needs to be easy to understand, right? And easy to apply. because you don't want to have a 30-page and people get lost in translation and lost in all the text and all the copy. So even for my manifesto, the 6 values that I want them to have is very short, very succinct, and all infographics driven. So then, and then because it is a manifesto, you need to remind people on a day-to-day basis, right? So when they are sharing, you remind them that that's a great thing that you are doing. When you're sharing, everyone gets to benefit. When they're shooting for the stars, you remind them that's a very good standard to have. So you continuously, remind them that they are actually demonstrating those behaviors and values.
That's awesome. I mean, a manifesto is really a philosophy to live by, right? It's like, and I think that really is a great guiding principle. Yeah, helping people to see their North Star and also like reinforcing it, right?
Yeah, that's
through
right.
daily. I think that's so powerful. That's very powerful. And talking about that, right? Talking about excellence, right? I recently saw on LinkedIn one of your connections, your ex-colleague. Actually, the person is based in a different country, right? It's in a different market.
Yeah, India.
And the person actually shot a video and she uploaded a video. And the person said a couple of things about you. First of all is they often ask themselves, right, what would Rena do? that was so that's awesome, right? It's like whenever you are in a place of uncertainty and ambiguity, you also ask yourself, what would Rena do? That really speaks to the value you have about be the solution.
Right.
And the second one they talk about, they call you the OCG, the original creative gangster.
Yes, it's so embarrassing. Yes, they did.
Yeah, that really speaks a lot about who you are as a person.
Yeah, I think that really stems from the standards, right? So the standards, sometimes I said it's not just for my team, but everyone that I work with. So if, it even extends to the leadership team that I work with, all the stakeholders, vendors, and peers in the other market. So he was actually a peer in India. He was our creative designer. And I set same standards for him as well. So whenever he comes up with a design, I ask him, is this good enough? Can it be better? And also I constantly challenge people, is this your best? Can you be better than this? And then, I don't see this as your full potential yet. I know there's something there that you can do much better. So continuously spur them to do better stuff, right? So when they finally did, I think they feel that sense of accomplishment as well. Yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. You know what, Rena, in my interactions with you so far, right? The words I would say is like, you are a believer and possibility giver. Right, like whenever I talk to you, I always walk away feeling uplifted. I kind of like, what just happened? Like, Rena just happened. I just spoke to Rena, right? And like, of course, that's the effect that you have on us, right? On people. And to me, I call that your emotional footprint, your impact footprint. But let's unpack that a little, right? It's like, were you always so positive? Were you always so optimistic? Were you always like driven by what's possible?
Not exactly. So I had quite a difficult childhood. My dad had nose cancer when I was 5, and that lasted for 7 years. So he passed away when I was 12. So at the age of 12, I actually had to support my family because my mom is a housewife. So I felt that I had to take on the responsibility for taking care of her. So I went out to work at 12 years old. And at that time, I remember I was a sales assistant in Yauhan. I was 2 months away from being 13. So then I went to the supervisor in Yauhan and said, can I get a job here? I really need one because I'm starting school in about 2 months and my dad's not around. So I need money for my school books and my school uniform. So they actually really had that empathy for me, gave me a job. And at that age, I was already bringing home like $800 a month. Gave half to my mom. And then for me, I felt that, okay, at the age of 12, 400 is just enough for me. And that became something of my life from then onwards, because I need to stay positive, right? I need to make sure that I'm constantly looking out for myself, looking out for my family, looking out for opportunities to provide for my family. So I had no time to grieve or be upset or depressed and beat myself up over what has happened. I can only say, let's just go forward because there are people depending on me. And that was at 12. So constantly, having to give myself that pep talk, right? has turned me into that kind of very positive person. So my husband always says, your cup is always half full. I don't understand why your cup is always half full, right? Because he's like, he doesn't know why someone like me would have so much positivity. And I think it's really out of the need for survival at that age, and constantly from then onwards. Yeah.
Wow. And more than just half full, right? What is your cup full of?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's in the half fullness of that cup, right? What's in that cup? Right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of courage, a lot of empathy, a lot of kindness, and a lot of optimism and possibility as well.
Yeah.
Wow. I can only imagine, right? It's like at 12, right? When you're still underage,
Yeah.
but you're already coming out to earn your own keep.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
you also have siblings that you also need to help.
Yes, I have a brother. Yeah.
Younger brother?
Older brother.
Older brother.
Yeah.
But you have to work as well. Did your brother also work?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just that I think in terms of competencies and capabilities, he probably struggled a lot more in that space. So that's why a lot of the burden fell on me. Maybe I was the blessed one. I was blessed with the higher intellect, so to speak, right? So therefore, I get more opportunities, more chances. So therefore, I felt that I had the responsibility. Yeah, I have to bear that responsibility.
Okay. So you started at 12, right? And you work as a sales
assistant at a shopping mall called Yao Han, which is now closed down. That's how old I am.
Showing our age over
Yeah,
here.
I know. Oh my God.
I grew up remembering Yao Han. Maybe some of
Yeah.
our listeners at home is like, what's Yao Han?
Yeah, right. So I was in the stationery department, putting price tags on merchandise.
I found this on the web for remember you have a what's your
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, so I was actually putting price tags on merchandise, restocking, inventory, and just servicing customers at that time, right? So making sure that our customers are taken care of, whatever they need, I can help them find. So yeah, that has been my role since I was 12.
And after that, like what other jobs have you been doing besides? Yeah.
Yeah, so from a sales assistant, the next most natural step is to become a sales promoter. So then I was actually poached by a brand called Schaefer Pens. So I went to become their sales promoter for that pen series. And then after that, I was poached by Cross Pen because they saw how good a job I did with Schaefer. So I went to work for Cross. And then subsequently went to be a sales promoter for Levi's jeans. So it's all very customer facing at that point in time. Yeah.
Well, from a very young age, you're already very customer facing.
Yes,
and
that's
everything.
right.
So, do you struggle at all, or do you just like take to it like fish to water?
Probably fish to water. I've always been quite a sociable person. So talking to people is not a problem. And I'm also a keen learner. So with every product that I had to promote, I will read cover to cover everything to know about that product.
Oh.
So that when you talk to me about it, I won't sound stupid. I would sound actually very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And I even read up about my competitors' product. So I can tell you what is not so great about their product and why our product actually trumps theirs. So yeah, I was quite a good salesperson then.
I'm sure you're still a very good salesperson too, right? It's
Yeah.
like you have I mean, I wouldn't say salesperson. You're very persuasive. You're influential, and you have that effect on people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see now where that came from, right? It's
Yeah.
like, wow, that's very, very interesting. So after that, did you go and study? Like,
Yeah, so I went to Polytechnic. I went to mass communications. I was told that was a highly coveted course at that time, back many years ago. So it was great because then I get a chance to intern at MTV. So I did internship in my year 2. At that time, my boss, the president of the company, he was really impressed, and he said, why don't you just stay on and don't go back to school? But I refused because I said, if you leave, I will be stuck here with no diploma. So I said, I will go back to school, and then if you want me, wait for me for 1 year. I will call you when I graduate. So on the last day of my exam paper, I just finished and then handed it in. Then I went to a payphone. I had no mobile phone then, right? So I put him a 10-cent coin, called his number, and I told him, boss, I finished my paper today. So he asked, what would you like to do? I said, I feel like going into radio, right? Because I like radio production and all. And then he says, nonsense. Radio, you can only listen. Come to TV, you can watch and listen, right? So it's a more multifaceted media. And then he said, anyway, let's not talk on the phone. Come in. I want to talk to you. So I went to the office and he gave me a job on that day itself. So I landed a job on the day of my last final paper. Yeah.
Wow. You don't even have to apply. You
No.
don't have to send you a CV.
No, he didn't want to look at my results anyway.
What's
yeah.
a CV anyway, right?
Yeah. So to him, because he has seen how I've worked, right,
Mm.
during my internship, and all he wanted was for me to just stay on. Yeah.
He saw how you work. Like, okay, so how did you work?
For me, I went in with an open mind to learn, right? So even if I had to buy coffee, carry tapes, follow my producer around, write scripts, I'll do everything. Because for me, I call it character building and training, right? So with every task they gave me, I'll just do it wholeheartedly. Yeah. So that's how I do it. I wanted to make sure that everything that I take on, I put in my 101%. Yeah.
Wow. Like on other podcasts as well, I speak about, building career capital, like being so good at that they can't ignore you. I think that really changed my life when I read Cal Newport's book by that name. Like, be so good they can't ignore you. And I think you really embody that spirit. Like, it's like being open to learning and be willing to do all the things, right? Whatever it takes, right? Character building and not complain.
Yeah.
Right? Being a master at your craft.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, a sushi chef needs to spend many months, maybe years, learning how to even clean the floor,
Right.
how to wash the rice before they're even allowed to handle sushi.
Correct. Yeah, so you really get to understand, right, what it means to work from the very bottom and work your way up. Yeah, so for me, that's very important.
So your boss brought you in, you got your job even without what's the CV, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, you got
He
a
didn't
job
even wait
before.
for my results. Or,
Yeah.
He just said, come in, you got a job. Yeah.
Your best CV is is a job well done. Like your last job well done is what people know you by. That's so memorable, yeah.
Yeah, so I was really quite lucky and blessed in my career path.
So
Then
how young were you when you were in MTV?
I was 19.
You were 19 when you joined MTV.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just right after poly.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So then you worked in MTV for how long? And tell us a bit about your experiences. And
So
your
I
journey.
worked there for about 8.5 years. The first 2 years I was doing the fun stuff. So I was a video producer. So when you look at Mike Kasem, Donita Rose, Nadia Hutalagong, in the VJs in studio saying, hey, this is MTV's top 20 for this week. Whatever they were saying, we were the script writers for them. They just read off the teleprompter. Yeah, so we were writing all the scripts for them. We were interviewing celebrities. So personally, I've interviewed Jeff Zhang Xingze, Chen Xiaodong.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple of celebrities. The Vanessa Wu from F4. Yeah. So yeah, and then I think we also got a glimpse of Spice Girls when they first launched.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
in Asia. So those were some of the fun times. We also organized big award shows like the MTV Asia Awards. So I get to chaperone Stephanie Sun as well.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
wow.
so bring her backstage, bring her to the media room, So we all get attached to one celebrity. So Stephanie Sun was my celebrity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever get starstruck? Like, do you ever say, oh my God, it's like Stephanie's son?
No, I guess because I'm such a person. I'm such a serious person when I come to work. So to me, professionalism, has to come first. So I don't even ask them for photographs. I feel like if I do that, I'm not professional. So yeah, so the starstruck didn't really happen because to me, they're just humans. Just humans who are very good at marketing and branding themselves. Yeah. So no. Yeah.
You're also very good at marketing and branding. Now I know where that came from.
Yeah.
So okay, so I really like it, right? So how you maintain so level-headed and not be starstruck, it's like because you were dedicated to your job.
Yeah. And also because people tend to comment that I look young for my age.
Yeah.
So imagine when I was 19, I probably look like 12. Right? So I think for me, it is very important for me to be serious in my work so that people will take me seriously.
Ooh.
Right? And then I can have a level of credibility. Because if I start acting like a fangirl or a groupie, then people will not take me seriously. And then I may not get the opportunities that I get. Right? So I really always remind myself that because I look young is actually a disadvantage. And therefore, I will always be more serious when it comes to work. Yeah.
Talking about fun fact, right? You once said before you went to 7-Eleven with your husband
Yeah,
to
I
get
wanted
some
to buy
alcohol.
alcohol, and then he asked me for my ID. So my husband looked at him incredulously and said, "You think I'm a pedophile or what?" I was like, "Oh, shush. He's just doing his job."
But you must be very happy by then. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. So he's like, "This is my wife." Yeah.
oh wow. I mean, so you got a baby face, lah, right? But-
So so when I was younger, that was a curse and a blessing, I guess, right? Yeah.
But I think something I don't know if you connected the dots here before, but I mean I'm just thinking, right, because you started work so young, having to really buy your own school uniform, your own school textbooks and everything, when other people have these things like given to them, right, they kind of take it for granted. So you learn to take responsibility from a very young age.
Yes.
And so when you are given a job to do, right, you take it on as a responsibility to do the job well. Like you say,
Yes.
excellence, right? It's like,
Yeah. I guess really it comes to the point where you are the sole breadwinner at that point in time, right? So
Yeah.
remember I started work at 12. So by the
Yeah.
time I reached 19, I was still the sole breadwinner. So throughout this whole time, I was studying and working at the same time.
I see.
Yeah. So I feel that I cannot fail. I can't afford to fail. That's why everything I do, I have to put in 101%, even my studies. So I have to strive to become very good at my studies and also very good at my work. So I can juggle both. So I really push myself really hard. Yeah.
Okay. Now back to some more fun questions,
Yeah.
right? So you rubbing shoulders, talking to celebrities, right? Like which celebrity has the biggest like impact on you or has the most memorable impression on you?
I think Jeff Chang would be the one. Because at that time when I was on my way to interview him, he had a lot of groupies. Jeff Chang has huge fans, right?
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I'm one of them, yeah.
And then they were all young screaming girls, fanatic about him. So I was on my way. I had to cut across this huge field to get to his media room to interview him. And it was all barricaded, right? Because the groupies can't go through. So then when the security guard let me through, they were screaming at the security guard and saying that, how could you let her in? Why can she go in and why can't we? So I had to flash my media pass and say, I'm actually here to interview him. And then by the time I get to Jeff, I think he got to know about it. So the first thing he said to me when he saw me was, 辛苦你了. Yeah. So he's like, oh, tough on you. So sorry about that. So I was like, oh, such a sweet guy, right? He doesn't have to say that. He's a celebrity, but he cares, right? So I think that empathy is really strong from him. Yeah.
I mean, so awesome, right? It's like, I mean, celebrities tend to sometimes, because they have so many people wanting their time, right? So they need to be very protective of their time.
Correct.
But he was able to come out of that protective bubble and focus on you rather than on himself.
Yeah.
That really had an impact on you as well.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Such a great experience. I think Jeff Chang. I love his songs because he's such a soulful
song. Yeah, soulful singer.
Soulful and sometimes his voice.
They call him 情歌王子, right?
Yeah, the king of love songs.
Correct.
Yeah, the king of ballads.
Yeah.
And but I understand where that come from right now. That's so awesome. So you were saying that in MTV you spent 8.5 years. The first few years was fun, all that.
Yeah.
But then what did you go after that?
Then after that, they decided to set up a licensing and merchandising department. So the company believes that the MTV brand has equity. So if we license the brand out to different partners and put the MTV brand on different products, we can have additional income stream. So they were looking for a marketing person at that point in time. I pitched myself to the head of department and I said, I'm very interested. And then even before they asked, I sent him a list of items that we can put the MTV brand on. So needless to say, I got the job after that. Yeah. So they actually gave me the role. So I was transferred from the production team to licensing and merchandising department.
So that's how you actually got into marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow! Do you study marketing in school?
Yes, I studied Bachelor of Science in Business Management with a specialization in marketing.
Yeah, but you're previously in licensing and production, right?
Yeah, previously was production.
Okay.
Then after that, I went into licensing and merchandising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So within the licensing and merchandising, I started doing a few big projects. So we were working with banks across the region, like UOB in Singapore, Hong Leong Bank in Malaysia, Equitable Bank in Philippines, Lippo Bank in Indonesia. So what we did was we went to these countries and we sell them the MTV brand, and they put it on debit cards and credit cards, right? So then it became such a lifestyle product that everybody wanted, because behind every card we packed it with a lot of benefits. So for example, in Singapore, the UOB MTV card, at that time, there was this stretch of party places called Muhammad Sultan.
Yes.
Right? I'm sure you remember.
Yeah.
So there were all the most happening clubs and pubs were all
Yes.
along that stretch. I went door to door to every club to ask them to come on the card, so that everyone who has the card in future can flash their card and get free entry, or priority in table reservations, or 1-for-1 drinks.
Oh.
So a lot of them participated in the card and making the card so highly coveted, right? So it came to a point, sometimes when I just walk down Muhammad Sultan, the pub owners would say, "Hey, Rena, coming for a drink." Middle of the day. That was like some of the fun part of doing, that kind of product management, stakeholder management, and marketing.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's a bar hopping with a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Like really licensed to party.
License to party.
Right,
I like
license
that.
to
I like
party,
that.
yeah.
I like that. So it's kind of way like bar hopping with a purpose.
Yeah.
Right? But then you became such good friends with them.
Correct.
And so, of course, then that's when you became extremely good at articulating value, right? It's like you need to be able to articulate the value, because these people are busy people.
Correct.
And secondly, it's like, people in F&B and they're in a night scene, they are not really going to sit down and listen to long pitch and proposals, right? They just want things quick.
Correct.
So you need to be very, very good at articulating the value of this MTV brand equity.
Yes.
So how did you get them on board and all that? So how...
Yeah. So every time I speak to someone or I come to a negotiation table, I don't come from the brand owner's point of view. I come from the person that I'm talking to. So what's in it for you? So I always going if what's in it for you, right? When you work with me, what do you get in return? So when you put that in front of them, you put them first, then you actually open their minds up to negotiation. Because if you come in and say, I have this for you, please work with me, it doesn't give people that open platform, right? Because you're just saying, I want to sell you something. You just come across as a salesperson. And I always think that when you come across as a salesperson, people will treat you like one.
Oh, mic drop moment. Yes, I
right?
love it.
So
yes.
so never go as a salesperson. Always go in as, what can I do to help you? And then what you will get in return when you work with me. So you probably get you get free advertising from me. You get all the free exposure in all the magazines that we send out to all the card holders. You get free exposure on our website, emails. So you just tell people exactly what they get, so that they are so overwhelmed. They say, okay, what can I do to sign up to be your partner? Right? It's like, you are telling me all these things I can get. I'm so excited already. Tell me what I need to do just to sign. Where can I sign? Right? So I think that's where we want to get at when we talk to people.
That's awesome. You became a center of excellence. Like, people chase you to work with you.
Yes, that's
like
right.
You don't have to beg people to work with you. Yeah,
because
so
you put
awesome.
them first, right? You don't put yourself first. I think that's very important.
My goodness, like you said like you're just like drinking water, right? But this is like really mind-blowing value here. It's like a lot of businesses still get this wrong on a day-to-day basis. And I mean, I myself also sometimes slip into self-centered thinking, but always put people first, right? I mean, there's a lot of commonalities here. We talk about how Jeff Chang put you first, and also it's like how you put other people first.
Yeah.
And when you put other people first, you're going to win in the long run.
Correct. Yeah. So remember, I tell you my manifesto is we have to be customer centric.
Yes.
Yeah. So whoever is our customer or stakeholder, you think in their shoes first. If someone approach you, what would you like them to come to the table with? And then you use that, to present your pitch. I think that would be an easier way in. Yeah.
Gosh, I definitely understand why people will ask what would Rena do, right? Like there's almost like I can listen to you all day. I possibly will actually play back this podcast episode to myself every day to remind myself, like, okay, what's my manifesto today? What's my purpose today? What can I do for my clients today? Right? I mean, as a business person myself, sometimes when things are not going so well, I tend to get a little bit more self-centered also. So this is a great reminder for me to really press the pause button and really focus on adding value to people. And stacking the value in people for people, that it becomes no-brainer for them to say yes to working with you.
Correct. Yeah. So like they would be dying to work with you because you are thinking for them already, even before they are part of your partnership.
Dying to
Yeah.
work with you. Wow, I like that. Dying to work with you.
Yeah. Like I said, right, I was just walking down Mawat Southern, come in for a drink.
I like that job. I
Yeah.
like that job. But I'll probably be drinking too much there.
Yeah, true that.
I know if I'm
That
I'm
was,
working.
those were my party days.
Oh wow, a little bit of Rena that we're uncovering every.
Oh
a little
no,
bit
too
more.
much information.
Okay. Then after the stint in MTV, like where did you go?
So after MTV, because I've been marketing products, right, not just credit card, because we put the MTV logo on a lot more other things like fashion, magazines, radio shows and all that. So I was thinking maybe I have greater ambitions. I want to market the country. So I went to Singapore Tourism Board. And that's where I was actually given two very interesting projects. The first one was the Singapore Fashion Festival. So at that time, it was a very big thing. You get to work with all the big brands, like your LVMH, like your Pradas, like your Victoria's Secrets. You can bring them in to showcase their latest fashion, their latest seasons, in a big, huge tent right down in the middle of Orchard Road, right in front of Takashimaya. Not sure if you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a pretty big event where you actually work to attract the high net worth tourists from Indonesia, Thailand, the socialites, and encourage them to spend money here. Then subsequently, they gave me another assignment, say, please go to US. We don't have a theme park. In Singapore, we want to explore the possibility of having a theme park here. So I was sent to US to, such a difficult job, to take the rides.
So a bad job, man.
Yeah.
Someone's got to do it. Right?
To
Someone's gotta
enjoy
do
the
it.
rides, and then to come back with a report on what kind of rides are available in the theme park, what kind of facilities do they offer around the theme park, what kind of infrastructure, transportation that fits into the theme park as well. So when I came back, I put together a report, and I mean, STB being a step board, they really plan like 10 years ahead of time, right? So all these were done way before. And then the theme park finally landed. They finally decided on a partner, which is Universal Studios, 5 years after my trip.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's how fast they plan ahead. So even things like the F1 night race, which is coming up, they planned it 10 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Right, so you you went to theme parks. Which theme parks do you go to? Like
I went to Universal Studios and I also went to Disneyland. Like there are two Disneylands.
Anaheim and Orlando.
It's in California.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. That's the one.
Great. Wow. So you want to go from marketing products to marketing country.
Correct.
Wow,
Yeah.
I really like how I can see the progression here. And,
Yeah.
and then actually just to circle back to something you said earlier on, you went to MTV and says I want to take on this marketing role. And then you actually go and do a research and say that if I were to take on this role, this is what I would do.
Correct.
So you are doing free work
Yes.
before you are even given a job.
Correct.
So basically what happens is that you have already proven your worth
Yep.
before you got the job.
Yes.
So that's so awesome, right? I think nowadays, right, when people talk about looking for jobs, right, sometimes they can be a little bit more, reactive rather than proactive.
Correct.
They're kind of like, okay, what job can I do?
Yeah.
What job is available? Then
Yeah.
you start to send resumes, you start to apply for things. But actually the best jobs, right, is even before the job appears or when even you get a first inkling that there's a job opening, right, you already put your head in the ring.
Correct.
And you already stake your claim so strongly that you become the obvious choice.
Yeah, so that's what exactly happened. Because at that time, I don't think they were looking for anyone. I just heard that they have a new department. So then I said, this department is so interesting and they're going to put the MTV brand on different things to sell to licensees, right? So I gave them a list of potential licensees that you can think of, or licensed products that you can actually consider if you do set this department up. Yeah.
The word that came to me is you are the manifester. You are the possibility manifester, right? I feel that you have this ability, right, to make things come to life. Because things happen twice, right? Once in the mind when you first conceived, and secondly in reality. And you just now you talk about manifesto, and I think you are a possibility manifester. I think those are the two words I'll give to you.
Thank you.
You are PM, not Prime Minister, but possibility manifester.
Wow.
I don't know, maybe if you were to ever write a book, right, maybe
Mm.
that book could be something like the manifesto or marketing manifesto or something like that. I don't know, maybe just
Wow,
throwing
thank
some
you.
words.
I already have my title.
No,
for my
really,
new
because
book.
I look at it, right, it's like, look, I mean, today we all know Singapore as the Universal Studio, and then people go there and take the rides and
Yep.
everything like that. But who would have known that even 5 years before we even announced this integrated resort, right? You have already been to these places,
Yeah.
try out different rides and being experienced. So you're right there on the ground. So you're very much an on the ground person. You're out there on the ground. You're getting things done.
Yep.
You're turning things from ideation to
Into-
reality.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
And then to see it come to fruition, right? That's wow.
Yeah, I think that's what drives me as well in my work, right? Having that idea and then strongly believing in it, and then really setting myself a target to make sure that it comes to fruition, turn it to reality.
Okay, so I mean, it's all very positive so far, right? But let me ask you, like, what happens when things don't turn out into reality? When things don't come to fruition, like, does that like derail you, frustrate you? Yeah, does that derail you, frustrate you?
No, I don't get defeated very easily. Like I said, right, my cup is always half full. So if things don't go well, I take it as a lesson to learn, right? Why didn't it go well? What can I do better the next time? Yeah. So I think failures are normal, right? It's impossible for people not to fail. So you must embrace failure as a learning platform and then learn from there. And then the most important thing is don't repeat the same mistake, right? Just learn from it and become better.
But what if you have to give people feedback? Like, for example, after failures, they still repeatedly don't learn, or they maybe a little like they procrastinate, they have self doubts, and then they don't manifest the possibility. They don't meet their potential. Like, do you like kind of like take them to task, or like how do you handle situations like that?
Yeah, it depends. So for example, for me, I always believe in mentoring and coaching, right? Because if someone is not up to their fullest potential, it might be my fault because I haven't given them the space or developed them enough to be at their fullest potential, right? So I will continuously coach someone, even though it may take time. Some people, so I have to realize that some people take a faster time to learn, and some people may take a slower time, right? The good thing is I'm very patient. So so I can always, go back and then tell them which areas that they want to improve on and then work on them with that. And I think sometimes leaders can be very impatient. They see like 3 things wrong. They want to correct all 3 things, right? And it's very difficult, right? So if you want to coach someone, my suggestion is you focus on one thing at a time, right? If procrastination is something that you find is the thing that this person is struggling with, then we work on that first. So you solve one problem at a time. So it's easier for them to take on feedback and learn and then correct, right? But if you try and change everything all at once, then it becomes very overwhelming for that individual as well.
So well said. So well said. Wow, you're just dropping like it's like leadership masterclass. Right? I think it's just a leadership masterclass in one podcast episode. Like I'm just taking mental notes
Okay.
right now. Yeah, I mean,
I will send you my invoice later.
if I can take notes, I would absolutely take notes. It's like okay. So after STB, like where did you go? You went to Robert Walters.
Yeah. So Robert Walters was it still is a HR services recruitment firm, and I was their first marketing hire. So at that time, they were looking for someone to help them build their brand. They had a lot of very strong competitors in the space. So I went in there and then started to build a team and then followed my boss to expand the brand into different markets. So we went from Singapore to Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines, and then went on to China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. So built up across 8 markets and grew my team from a team of 1 to 13. Yeah.
So you really helped Robert Walters really expand
Correct.
regionally. And
Yeah. So at that time, my ambition was to become number 1. So I'm very ambitious that way. If I want to go in and build a brand, I want it to be number 1. So, whether it is to push the leadership team to brand themselves, teaching them how to become more active on the social space, creating events, going out to the media. So I practically, at that time, there was no media database. So I went to a newsstand, bought all the magazines and all the newspapers, and then I started writing down every single journalist email address. So I flipped through the entire magazine and the entire newspapers. Every single journalist with email address, I will collate them into a database. And then I will that's my media database, and I'll just send them press releases.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'll pitch them stories. So really manual,
Wow.
yeah. So I really built the
Wow.
brand from scratch.
Yeah, I remember also you shared something about how you help them to realize that their brand equity is not as strong as they thought it is.
Correct. So because everybody has a maybe overconfident feeling about their brand, right? I work for this brand, it is global, therefore it must be good. So when I first came in, I said to them, I've called a media partner, and I introduced myself as I'm Rena from Robert Waters. And the moment they heard the name, they was like, "Oh, do you guys sell water?" I was like, "Oh no, oh no! If the media doesn't even know who we are, why would the public even know, right? The media is the ones with the best feelers on the ground.
Yup.
They should know the company." So I said we are in a very bad state, right? So I challenged the leadership team. Do you think we have a strong brand? And they said, "Yes, I think we do." I said, "I'll challenge you guys. Go down to the MRT station, ask 50 people. Do they know what Robert Waters is? I bet you there will be a high percentage of people who have never heard of our name." Yeah, so that's when I actually turned their mindsets around. And then, from then on, it's easier to get them on a journey of rebranding and putting themselves out there. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I really like how you don't slap them with the truth, but you help them to stumble over the truth themselves because you are willing to do the hard work. And that's where you get the news from the ground.
Right.
You get a message from the ground that like they don't really know who you guys are.
Yeah, correct. I always find it's easier to influence people when you have data, right? Because if you go in and say, "I feel," then it's just your assumption, right? And your feeling. Don't go by "I feel." Just say, "I've called someone and this is what I got." And that's real data on the ground.
But you went beyond that. You don't just throw data in their face and shove data in their face and say the data says this, right? Or you don't even engage in any data storytelling. You get them to go to the ground and collect the data themselves. Like go to the MRT station and ask 50 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you succeeded in helping Robert Waters go from what position to what position?
At that time, I believe there were maybe about 4 or 5 in the marketplace. And then we went to number 1. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you got
And then after that,
The next
because I
job.
spent about 9.5 years.
in
right?
Robert Waters.
In Robert Waters, yeah. So I thought maybe it's time for me to move on. And at that time, Randstad was also looking for a head of marketing. And they've been looking for that person for 6 months plus. So I decided to just attend an interview with the MD and the HR and the associate director at that time. So they were saying that, why is it that other company recruiters, like our competitors, they don't want to join us? Like they don't even want to come in for an interview. So at that time I said, well, Randstad at that time was maybe ranked 7 or 8. Robert Waters was already number 1, right? So I said, well, if you work in LVMH, you won't consider Giordano, right? So it's very different. The brands are very different. So you want to elevate yourself to a luxury brand so that the luxury brand people, recruiters, will come over to you so that you are in the same space. And I said, if I come over, that's my commitment to you, right? My dream is to build you guys to that LVMH status so that you can compete. And I truly believe they could, because they were at least 10 times bigger than Robert Waters. So at that time, Robert Waters was about 2,700 people strong. Randstad was 27 to 28,000 people strong across the world.
Wow.
Right? So, Chinese have a saying, right? In China, if everybody spit on you, they will drown you. Yeah, same thing. So if you have 28,000, if everyone goes to social and talk about Randstad, there's no reason we cannot be number 1. I strongly believe in that. And I took them on that belief, right? I told them, believe in this belief, and we go on that journey together to build you guys to number 1. So after 9 years, we actually reached number 1 as well for Randstad. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And
Yeah.
I think you also have a specific way of rolling out this across the 27,000 workforce, right? I mean, maybe not globally, but you started regionally, then you went globally. Tell us more about the journey.
Yeah, so mostly I start building the brand locally first, right? Through, again, media partnerships, to content marketing, and also through positioning my leaders as thought leaders. Then I think somewhere in 2018, I created a social selling course because I wanted my guys to be more visible on LinkedIn. And that was towards the end of 2018. I rolled out the course in two of my markets, which is Singapore and Malaysia. And then COVID came around in 2019. So the global HR director suddenly sent out an urgent email. Anyone has any social selling decks? Because our guys cannot meet candidates, cannot meet clients. So we're all stuck at home. And therefore, we need some social selling training for our recruiters to really put themselves out in the market, right, to build their brand. So I said, I have one. I just developed one and I just wrote the training. Would you like to have a look? And then they took a look. They said, I love it. And then they subsequently offered that as a course under the Global Academy. Yeah, right. So Randstad has a global academy called the Fritz Ghost Madding Academy. So they said, okay, I'm going to offer this as a global academy program. And then they allow people to sign up for it. So there were about 200 over L&D trainers, HR people, marketing people, all attending the course that I was giving online. And then I brought them through my deck on how you conduct social selling training. And then they went on to take the training and roll it out to all their markets as well.
So these 200 people are within the Randstad
Correct.
ecosystem?
Yes.
Wow.
So you have attendees from France and Germany, Spain, right, Belgium, of course across APAC. And then they took the material and then they roll it out in their markets.
Wow.
Yeah, so suddenly everyone got trained by me. I was like, wow.
Your-
That to me is one of my greatest achievement, I felt. Yeah.
Yeah, your impact footprint is like global.
Yeah.
Wow. This
Yeah.
is awesome. This is awesome. And so you were instrumental in really helping all these brands to really elevate themselves. But I think beyond just the outcome, right? I think what the process I'm seeing is that you have a very hardworking work ethic. You're willing to roll your sleeves up and get your hands dirty and go to the ground. Like as evidenced by how you were willing to go door to door, in those MTV days, and you're willing to go the extra mile, and you're willing to also do the work as even before it's been assigned, and so therefore you really have a proof of concept by the time like people are ready to. So you are a little bit ahead of your time, like a zeitgeist, right? Like you are able to predict like what's necessary, and you're able to just get to the core of it. Have you always been so good at like getting to the core of what really matters?
If I say yes, would that be bragging?
No, I mean, maybe
I guess, yeah, it's more about...
It's a leading question anyway. But
yeah. I guess I read a lot, right? So
okay.
I also talk to people a lot. So I can kind of guess what's going to come up next.
Okay.
And I also sometimes operate a lot on my gut feel as well. Like,
Okay.
of course with data, but the gut feel that this is going to be big. So for example, in 2018 again, we had this problem of marketing generating a lot of leads for the sales guys. And then we pass it on to the sales guys, and then suddenly the leads just went dead because the sales guys were too busy to follow up on the leads. Maybe they make one call or two, and then they let it die off because they're so busy. So then it became so frustrating for me because I cannot see where my marketing dollars went.
Yeah.
I cannot justify my ROI.
Yeah.
So I went out to look for something that could solve the problem of lead conversion and lead qualification. And then I came upon this AI tool. So then I decided that let's try it because AI is only just starting to come up. And then if it's going to automate the whole process for me of lead conversions, then I don't need to bother the sales guys. I'll take back all the lead conversions from them. So we set the AI tool to work, and then it really did convert the leads. So by the time the leads were converted, nurtured and converted, by the time it went to the sales guys, all these leads all ready to meet our sales guys. Yeah. So they don't even have to go through cold calling, qualification, converting. By the time the leads were passed on to them by the bot, they'll say, I'm ready to meet your guys.
Wow.
Yeah. So that became a success story. And again, we replicate that success story across the region as well, across APAC, UK, Australia, and they were using the same tool that I've discovered as well. So I think that has always been my operating modus, to really see what is coming up as a trend. So again, remember back to the manifesto, right? We want to be forward-looking. We want to be able to imagine the future. So I'm always pushing myself to imagine the future. What if, right? We use this, what impact can we make? And therefore, after that 2018 pilot of the AI tool, we started using 3 more AI tools. And then now, over the last 24 months, you see ChatGPT coming up to the market. Everyone is crazy about AI, but we have already been using it since 2018. So we already have 6 years worth of experience and data
Wow.
of using AI in different ways, right? That was one, the lead generation. We also use it in content generation, SEO, and we also put in an AI-powered chatbot on the website as well. So that was what we have done before I left. Yeah.
This is so amazing, right? You've got this unique ability to synthesize a lot of information. Like you read a lot, you're very close to the ground, you walk the ground. So therefore, empathy comes in because you're able to empathize and understand people's pain points. And you have this unique ability to see around corners. I think Rita McGrath wrote a book called Seeing Around Corners. Like how to be able to spot the next big trend even before it emerges. And I think you have got this like superpower of seeing around corners as well. But I think that's, well, as you correctly say, right, it's ability to synthesize information, being data driven, but at the same time also being possibility driven.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can see so much right now, like the whole manifesto has your entire fingerprints on it, and you live by it. It's not just something you say, but something that you really walk the talk.
Correct. Yeah, live and breathe the manifesto.
Wow, this is so inspiring. I mean, listen, I don't know whether like we have just added a zero behind your next paycheck. It's like people listening and people are looking for a chief marketing officer. They may actually come calling. It's like
yes,
anyone
please.
listening to this podcast, and but I don't know. I mean, if you're also a consultant, right? I'm sure a lot of people will be reaching out to you. So I think we're coming almost to the end of this podcast. So you know how it's like, Rena, right? Whenever I talk to you, I don't want it to stop ever. Like I say, I can just listen to you all day. As we come to the end of our podcast, we typically end with a few quick fire questions. So I'll just ask a question, you just answer very quickly. The first answer that come to you.
Okay.
Fret not, stress not, fear not, right? It's like I'm sure you've always had answers. So the first answer that come to you, like I said, trust your intuition, trust your gut feeling.
Right.
And just keep answers short as well. Yeah,
Okay.
a couple of sentences. Are you ready?
All right.
All right. First question. What's the most powerful question you have ever been asked before?
Most powerful question. Who is Rena? Yeah. Because I sometimes feel that the way I think and the way I do is very normal. Right? So I think even for you, right? People always ask me that question and I don't have an answer. But when you ask me that question, it makes me dig deeper into myself. And then realize that, I actually had a lot more to give than I actually thought about myself. Because for whatever I do, it's just me, right? I'm just doing me. So I always have this tagline when I talk to people, I'm just what I am. But then people always come to me and say, I actually learned a lot more from you than you realize. I actually hear a lot more from you. You inspire me a lot more, and I don't realize any of that. So whenever people ask me who is Rena, it makes me think deeper than that. Yeah.
I think that's awesome also. I think right now as you're a consultant, right, as you get clients, right, sometimes people come to you with a certain outcome in mind. But then if you try to explain to them your process, right, they say, it all sounds very good, but what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? So I think the ability to codify your genius.
Yeah.
I don't think genius, the word genius is never meant to describe a person. We don't say you are a genius, we say you have a genius. And the ability to kind of codify that genius into ways that people get it and understand and can replicate it.
Correct.
I think that's probably the next part. Because you're right.
I'm trying to get to that with your help. Because like you ask me these questions, sometimes I like, who am I? I don't even know. I don't think about myself that way, right?
Yeah.
I'm just doing me. So so whenever people come to me and say I get something different from you, it's like, really? I don't even notice that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I just love unpacking things.
Yes.
Next question. Who's a mentor or supporter who has made all the difference in your life?
It would really have to be my very first boss in MTV, right? Because he really disregard the fact that I don't have a degree or I don't have good results or even results, right? He just gave me a job. And that really opened the doors, because I know that sometimes when people graduate, they have a hard time finding a job. And I remember, I saw some of my friends were working in like the cinema theaters or, waiters and waitresses, just trying to fill up their time while they look for a proper job. But for me, I immediately got a job then. And then he really inspired me with his leadership. He was a very empathetic leader. So much so that when MTV had to go through one round of retrenchment. He put up his hand and say, let me go so that my salary can save the rest.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something that I will always remember. That he is very self-sacrificial. He's full of empathy, but he's also very cheeky and very naughty. So he has that bit of rebel in him. And I think a lot of my leadership styles, I really mirror him a lot. Like being a bit of serious, but a bit cheeky, a bit fun, and I really look up to him as my mentor. Yeah.
Fantastic. Final question. What is one of the most courageous things you have ever done in your life that's made all the difference?
Courageous things. Would having kids be that? I guess, being a mom really changed your perspective, right? When you are single, you can do anything you want, right? You can live the life the way you want. But then you became a mom, and then you're also a working mom. So there's a lot of sacrifice you have, to do on your part. And raising 2 humans is no small feat, because you want to make sure that they also have the values that you believe in, right? You raise them the way that you want them to be good people, good humans, respectful. And that's why I feel that, probably, taking the step to create 2 human beings and making sure they grow up to be good people is one of the most courageous things I've ever done.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do you also have a manifesto for them?
Do I have? Actually, I do. I always tell them they need to be respectful, kind, and have courage. Same thing, right? Because everything they do, they need to have courage. They need to be kind to people. Grades to me are secondary. People ask me, are you a tiger mom? I say, no. I always look at what they are inside, right? And also their effort, right? So if they have put in a lot of effort and their results don't show that, I say it's okay, because that's maybe your limit, right? You're at your max capacity. But I can see your effort, and that's what I really treasure. So when my kid is PSLE this year, she's really stressed. I say, don't stress. I'm not even stressing you on your grades. But I can see that you're putting in effort, and that's good enough for me.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Rena. It's so inspiring talking to you. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people wanting to keep in touch with you or get in touch with you after this.
Yeah.
So where can our listeners get in touch with you or to find out more about the work that you do?
Yeah, they can find me on LinkedIn. My username is Sherlock, SHEERLOCK.
I love it, Sherlock.
Yeah, because I'm a gamer in World of Warcraft, and that's my gaming
You're
name.
a gamer as
yes,
well. Wow.
Yeah. World of Warcraft. So yeah, that's my gaming nick for my toon. I'm a warlock in World of Warcraft.
No way, Sherlock.
Yeah. And of course, I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. Okay. We just change one word, become sheer luck. Everything you do has never been sheer luck.
No,
I think you are a great manifester. You have created the life that you have today, and I'm sure you are going to continue to impact a lot more people's lives and a lot more brands and companies and organizations and even countries' trajectory with the work that you do.
Thank you, Coen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Rena,
much. Thank you for having me.